Is there anyone else?
Yeah, my name is Everton Bailey, staff member. Yeah, what I'm looking at right now, as your focus earlier about education and how Ireland method or mechanism in terms of providing second-tier education in terms of colleges and master's program. What I'm interested in being the fact that you have postulated earlier that you could bring down the tax. You recommend that a tax in Ireland at 12.5% at the time, which would seem now would bring us on the citizenry, giving us more disposable income, and growth was postulated at the time for about 4.5%. We have benefited from some features of the Ireland model and the Barbadian model with our MOU and limiting wages and so on. However, what we are seeing in Jamaican context is that we have sit by for a couple of years and our salary have been fixed for a particular period, but we haven't seen the growth replicated from such a fix, and the disposable income for the common people there wasn't any growth even. However, our education system now becomes so liberalized. We have other universities coming on board right now. Normal citizen in Jamaica to find university education is quite costly right now, and we don't see any hope for the common people in terms of moving forward, being the fact that we are more endowed with cheap and unskilled labor. So those are some of the challenges I see as a person, as a local citizen, as per se, as a citizen right now. So those are some of the things that would affect or impacts us right now in our current scenario. We know that we can't replicate this model from Ireland and Barbados, but some of the features, I think a lot of lip services being done. We need to jump on some of the things that can be done. We need the union to be much more vibrant in this. I don't want the private sector to leave us at the table again. And most over, the private sector, I don't see why the private sector should be leading a social partnership in this regard. And they are thinking of the bottom line, not the society and a whole, as opposed to the government and the union. I think there needs to be a much more cohesive agreement between private sector, the tripartite agreement with private sector, government, and corporate Jamaica.
Do you want me to respond?
Well, let me just... Yeah, I just want to address it because it's one of the things that came up in our research, that social partnerships never succeed unless they have strong leadership from the government. You're absolutely right. If it's led by the private sector, and you've also put your finger on another concern that was repeatedly raised in the course of our consultations, that the previous social partnership, I don't think any of the participants today, some of whom are present here today, would sort of look back and say it accomplished what they, everything they set out to accomplish. It was a partial initiative. It didn't lead to the kind of growth and developmental gains for ordinary people. And so there's no question that one, but perhaps the answer is what you need. If there's one thing we can learn from the Irish model, it was that the Irish resigned themselves to two, I think Paul said, two very difficult years. I mean, when in the initial stages, it's actually a very painful process for everybody, but it is short-term pain for long-term gain. And the result is they had, after real contraction and belt tightening, they've been on a path of very high growth for a generation, nearly. So that's the reality we have to face, and I think, and that takes political courage, and that can only come from the government saying, well, we're going to bite the bullet, on behalf of the nation, commit to this process. Without that, I think a cosmetic thing will be back to exactly where you've said the problems began.
I have a question for Mr. Harron. Did you have a serious crime problem in Ireland? And if so, how did you address it?
Yeah, and just if you don't mind, just to comment on the previous speak in the previous question as well, or comment. Like, we really believe in investment in human capital. And if you want to get high wages, to hire the human capital, the higher the wage that can be achieved. And our unions would share the understanding that for business to pay high wages, business has to really keep an eye on the profit line, because a company that goes bust is going to be no good to anybody. But that doesn't mean that we want to see workers exploited, and it's about that balance. On the issue of crime, all countries have crime problems. And we clearly had serious problems in Northern Ireland. We had spillovers in the south from the conflict, and very bestial things happened in Ireland. Irish people did horrific things to each other, horrific things to each other. Yet we work and continue to work on the cause of crime. And the reality is economic growth was the most important contributor to reducing crime. We still have certain geographically located hotspots of crime. We have one city where there's a very, very serious, it's sort of a big slum area. Nearly half the city is nearly a slum. And there's endemic crime there. And sometimes in our society, you hear comments on the radio, one warlord killed another warlord, or was a battle between, as if that didn't matter. As if a member of a gang getting shot was a lesser of a problem than somebody getting shot in the crossfire. And that's about a society's attitude to whether they value life or not. And in our society, so in this area where we have endemic crime, what we have now done, I'm telling you what we have done now, I'm not sure how well it'll work, but I believe in it. We approached this geographic region, this slum area, through a variety of government interventions from central government. So health intervention, education intervention, and making sure that kids are going to school, housing intervention, police interventions. These are all different arms of government attacking a problem independently. What we did was appoint a supremo or a czar in that area to integrate the various strands of intervention and make them coherent. So why do we have violence? We have violence because kids aren't going to school, they're hanging about. Well, make sure that the officer who checks on attendance is checking out that. Why aren't kids going to school? Because some of the schools are lousy. So what do we do to fix the performance of the school? In areas of severe deprivation, we overinvest in teaching capacity. They actually get more teachers to try to change the reality of the teaching environment. Why are they there? Because the single mum issue is very strong and there isn't a strong family units to help manage. And is that caused by single mums being in disadvantage and not working and participating? So we need to intervene with the mums as well. And why is this happening? Because the police force won't go into the areas. They don't respond to a 999 call from a poor area. But if it happens in the wealthy side of the street, they'll be around like that. So if the police abandon policing in the area, well then the local gangs will take up what's left. So I don't have the answer. I was never responsible for the ministry. But I understand the variety of approaches we're taking. And all I know is, and the language is easy, multifaceted, multitask, you know, these words triple off. But it's about a society working together to fix it. And I believe finding ways of integrating the response and also being intolerant to crime. That doesn't mean choose everybody who commits a crime, but it means that society says, no, it's not acceptable to have that crime. We will deal with it. And that includes tax evasion. It includes white-collar crime, as well as other forms of crime. I'm not sure if that answers your question adequately.
So anybody? Yeah.
We all challenge the issue.
Mr. Harron, you mentioned that the government made significant investment in education to sustain the growth. Were there any partnership with the government and private schools in getting this sort of a level of education of the nation's children?
Yeah, we have two types of private school. We've three types. We have historic ones that are linked to church, and they would be the people who go around and they'd have a private school tie and they're very proud of their private school, and that's a little network of power. So we leave those aside. Private schools emerged that were corporate schools, people trying to earn money. And sometimes they emerged to fill voids created by bad public schools. And then we had private colleges doing third level, because we ration access to third level, or we have in the past, based upon your attainment level at second level. So if you do very well, if you get lots of points in your terminal exams at second level, you gain access to good courses in the public colleges. So government was very, very reluctant and antipathetic towards private third level colleges. They pushed them back, and government ran into a competition law problem through the European Union. When they got rid of fees, they were then block granting universities. And the private colleges said, well, we're training 1,000 students in a Bachelor of Commerce. We want the same support.